Alright, welcome back. We're starting our next campaign of the Dunwich Legacy. This is not the Return to version, this is just the basic expansion version. And played again as Roland Banks. Because the first time I played Roland Banks, and I just really like him, and I think he does a pretty decent job. Just gotta worry about his sanity. I'm playing, I have more of an upgraded deck this time. It's a level 0 deck, as you needed when you start a new campaign. I'm not using my old Roland Banks because he has 3 mental trauma. And that basically means he's dead in 2 mental hits, which can be one-shotted with certain monsters and whatnot. I'm using Roland Banks' alternate, his novella cards. Though not his novella artwork, I'm using his new strength and new weakness, which basically is much better in a long playthrough. So the Dunwich Legacy is an actual sequel to Lovecraft's story of the Dunwich Horror. And if anyone can already tell, they can already tell I've already set up the scenario, and in this campaign you can actually start with either scenario. The first two, you can either start by finding one of the 2 doctors, and I've decided to do this one first, but let's read the prologue. Dr. Henry Armitage pours himself a glass of pint and sits down at his desk, gesturing you to sit across from him. I apologize for the short notice, he begins. His face is pale, his forehead sweaty and wrinkled with worry. Armitage, the head librarian at Miskatonic University, and a former mentor of yours, privately contact you in hope of gaining your assistance. Eager to help, you made your way to his home in Southside. Upon entering, you were surprised to find his home in disarray. Books and note litter his desk, and an empty bottle of wine is tipped into the ground by the fireplace. You've always known Armitage to be neat and well organized. The elderly man takes a moment to collect his thoughts. I am looking for 2 of my colleagues, Dr. Francis Morgan, Professor of Archaeology, and Warren Rice, Professor of Languages. Warren was supposed to meet me over supper earlier today to discuss several important findings, but he has since gone missing. At first thought, I thought nothing of it, but I have a nagging feeling something else is going on. A very familiar feeling. You've never seen Armitage quite this worried before. His hands tremble as he reaches out for his glass on his desk, and he sips it nervously. I tried to find Francis, hoping he knew where Warren was, but he too is out of touch. Francis has been spending a lot of time in some gambling den, or so I'm told. I sent for you because I'm worried Warren might be in trouble. I would appreciate it greatly if you could find him for me. You may also wish to ask Francis for help, if you can reach him. So I can either look for Professor Warren Rice, who's last seen at Miskatonic University, or I should find Dr. Francis Morgan, who's last seen gambling at the Clover Club. So I've decided to go ahead and look for Warren Rice at the university, which is what I set up here now. So, rolling up to the quad. Got my 5 resources. Now I should also mention I do have the Innsmouth expansion, which is still ongoing right now. The Mythos packs are currently coming out, but the new cards also added these new tokens to put in the Chaos bag. You now have cards that allows you to put blessing cards, blessing tokens, which allows you to get +2 in each skill check. But then you have to grab another one. So you throw these in the bag. You find a 2, but then you take them out. But there's also curse tokens that's -2. When I built this deck, I thought I'm not going to worry about any curse tokens. I'm just going to put some blessing cards that I have for all the blue cards. And then when I drew, so I made my deck, and when I drew my basic weakness, I actually got one that actually is like put 5. Curse tokens in the bag, so I'm actually playing with both of these, ironically enough. Alright, so let's read the scenario's prologue. Scenario 1A, Extracurricular activity. Dr. Armitage is worried about his colleague, Professor Warren Rice. He might be in trouble, so he asks you for his help in finding his friend. He seems unreasonably nervous about his colleague's disappearance, considering Professor Rice has only been missing for a few hours. Alright, so we start at the quad. Let's see what this says. A too early winter has stripped the trees bare. Their dead branches whistles as sharp, cold winds cuts across the empty quad. You flip this over, and this is surrounded by fences and gates of the wrought iron. You can't help but feel as much as a prisoner here you can't help but feel as much as a prisoner here as a guest. There's no clues on it, and I could resign. You can't find Rice anywhere. You leave the campus hoping Armitage will forgive you. Yeah, I could just leave right now. Let's go ahead and read the agenda. You have arrived at Miskatonic University campus in search for Professor Warren Rice. Classes are over, and a mysterious silence hangs in the air over the quad. Professor Rice was last seen several hours ago by one of Armitage's students in the Humanities building, which is currently over here. Let's draw our 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to actually take this out, this out. We'll shuffle them in, and I'll do my mulligan. Machete. Sweet. Alright, I can definitely work with this. Thank goodness. So, the first thing I want to do is bring out Hawkeye folding camera, and then my machete. And if you also notice, I added Alice in the deck, so I changed her out for Beat Cop. I wanted to see how this would be a little bit different. So basically, after I discover a clue, exhaust Alex, and I can deal 1 damage at my location, which would be really nice against whippoorwills when they start coming up. Alright, so I'm going to move that Humanities building. I should read it. Professor Rice was last seen in the Humanities building, teaching one of his Latin classes. The murky windows of the weather-worn structure emits no light, and the night is silent around you. The power is out, plunging the building's hall into heavy darkness. There is no sign of Professor Rice. At the end of your turn, if you're in the Humanities building, discard X amount of cards to your deck, or X is the amount of horror on you. Well, I don't have any horror on me, so that's fine. And there's 2 clues on there, but that's the end of my turn. Go back to 3. So, gain 1 resource, draw a card. Scene of the crime. Sweet. That's basically a free clue, but it costs 2 resources. I can't use it. Alright. So, put 1 Doom into the agenda, and I draw a card. Arcane Barrier. Attach to your location. To move into or out to the location, test for will. If successful, discard Arcane Barrier. Otherwise, you must either cancel the effects, the move, or discard the top 5 cards of my deck. Alright, so I'm probably not going to pass that. Alright, my turn. I do want Alice out, but she costs 4 resources. So I'm going to use my new special ability, Fast. Either place 1 clue from the token bank on my location, or discover 1 clue on my location. So I'm just going to discover 1 clue from my location, and that does not count for action because it was a fast card. Alright, so let's go ahead. Oh, and I'm also playing this on easy, as like I said, anytime I play true solo, I always play it on easy. And I get a -1, which I do not get. So it's 2. Let's try it one more time. Skull, -1. If you fail, discard the top key cards of your deck. I did fail. 1, 2, 3. Guard dog, no. Let's see. Let's go ahead and commit this card because I only have one turn left to try to get this off. And I get a yeah, the blue, the Elder Sign. So I do win. But that was the end of my turn. That sucked. I wasted my card for nothing. Smoking fight. Alright. Bam. Eager for Death. Test Will 2. Increases still for each 1 damage on you. If you fail, take 2 horror. Whooper Wills. Alright, I'm up by 1. And, yep, I pass. That was a skull token. So, alright. Now I need to get out of here, which means I need to test my willpower of 4. I'm just going to go ahead and use commit my smoking pipe, the 1 will pipe. Basically, be at 0 for this test. And I get a +1. So I am out. So if you're successful, discard it. And I'm going to head over to the Warren Library, which this is at 2 now. These floors of withered gray granite. The library looks more like a relinquary than a place of learning. Stone gargoyles snare down from above arched windows, and lantern scripts winds around the double doors at the top of the wide set of stone steps. You must spend 1 additional action to investigate the Warren Library. The Warren Library is a labyrinth, dusty bookshelves and poorly lit halls. 1 clue. That has 1 victory. And I have 2 things on it. Let's see. Oh, and I forgot to put one of this on my Hawkeye folding camera because I grabbed both of these. Alright then. I could wait for an enemy to come out just to get it instead, which might be better. Or I could just try to risk it. I'll be doing it by 0. So you know what? I'm just gonna draw 2 resources. And that's it. That's the end of my turn. So draw 1 more resource and draw a new card. Shortcut. That'll be very helpful. 1 new Doom in the Quiet Halls. 10. Ancient Evils. Put 1 in there. I think this is perfect. Alright. So I'm at 3. And then I'll play Alice. So 1, 2, 3, 4 resource player. I get +1 to investigate. So we're going to go ahead and investigate, which will be my entire turn, because it takes me 2 actions. Skull, -1, which I pass, because now I have 4. And I get to put 1 on my Hawkeye folder camera. I really love this thing. That thing really helps a lot. And would that be the end of my turn? You know what? Let's go play Shortcut real quick, because that doesn't take an action, even though I'm out of actions, and move myself back to the quad. Now, oops, I forgot to. I only had 2 things. Where did my 3rd one go? Oh well. I know I've got these 2 and I got that one. Now, the reason why I do not want to, I just need 3 clues to act to continue the act, but I do not want to do that. And the reason why is because Roland's weakness. So basically, it's possible for me to drop clues, 2 clues, but if I only have 1 clue or no clue, I'll take a horror and it gets shuffled back in. So for the new Roland weakness card, I want to try to keep at least 2 clues on me as much as I can. Alright, so we're at 5, and Terror from Beyond, Peril. Which means if you're a multiplayer, you don't actually say what this card does, you just choose. Choose one of the following card types: assets, events, or skill. Each player must discard each card in his hand that is that chosen card type. If it's not the first copy of card drawn in this phase, choose 2 card types instead. Alright, so let's just say event, because I don't have any events. All right. My turn. And I forgot to get, I just realized I keep forgetting to give myself the upkeep phase. All right. My turn. Let's go ahead and spend these 3 clues to act continue the act deck. You're unable to find Professor Rice, but one of the students you spoke mentioned of a strange man entering Rice's offices. Fortunately, the door leading into the office is locked. At this late hour, the student says that the head janitor, Jazz, might be able to let you in. Shuffle the encounter discard pile and set aside Jazz Mulligan into the encounter deck. So we're currently looking for Jazz Mulligan. That has an amazing name. And he is somewhere in the encounter deck. Usually at the very end of how this game, thing goes. Alright. So, Act 2A. Concern for Professor Rice's safety, you seek out the head janitor, who can let you into the locked section of the campus. Spend 1 clue, discard top 5 cards of the counter deck. Top 10 if there's only 1 player in the game. If you discard Jazz for any reason, resolve his revelation effect. When you take control of Jazz, advance. So we're currently looking for Jazz Mulligan, which we need clues to help mill out the encounter deck. So we're going to go down to the Student Union. Even at this late hour, you can hear muffled chatter from inside the Student Union. Perhaps one of the students will know where Professor Rice is. For us, after the Student Union is revealed, which we just did, set aside the put the set aside dormitories into play, which is right here. And that goes there, yep, there we go. But this is locked, I can't move into the dormitories. There's 2 clues on here. I can spend 2 actions to heal 1 damage, 1 horror while I'm here. So I went 2. There's only 1 shroud, so we're up by 3. So unless we get a auto fail, we're gonna get these clues. It's +1, so we get 1. Get the other 1. And -1, which we still do. Alright, so we get 2 clues. And I put 1 here. Like I said, I want to try to at least have 2 clues on Roland as best I can. Now remember the upkeep phase. Enemy phase, upkeep phase. Boom, boom. Blessed Blade. That's the card I was talking about where I can add blessed tokens to my deck. And in here, I use that blade to do so. But I also have another one that was discarded earlier from that one effect. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 more time, and that will be. Now the agenda will continue. And then, do we find Jazz? No, it's locked. Attach the location with most clues without a locked door. Attached location cannot be investigated. Well, there are no places with the most clues, so I can attach it to any other place. So let's just attach it to here in case I drop my clues. Alright, so we're going to spend 1 clue, discard these top 5 cards. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There he is. Do I keep continuing? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are all discarded. And Jazz is currently right here. Revelation. Put Jazz Mulligan into play at your location. While Jazz is not controlled by an investigator, he gains Parlay Test Lore 3. If you're successful, take control of Jazz. While you control Jazz, you can ignore the text on each unrevealed miskatonic location, which is all these places are miskatonic locations. Alright, so that was 1 action, because I spent 1 action to do that. And then I'm going to parlay with Jazz. What's up, Jazz? I am up by 1 because of Alice. And actually I'm up by 2 because I folded in Kai too. And I get a blessing token. So I took control of Jazz. That's 1, but he does not take up an ally slot. You convince Jazz that something strange is going on, that Professor Rice may be in danger. He doesn't trust you enough to hand you his keys, but agrees to come with you. All of a sudden, you hear a crash coming from the science building. Their student rushes towards you. "Help!" he cries. "There's some kind of animal loose in the chem labs. I've only barely caught a glimpse of it, but..." He shudders. "I think it's headed toward the dorms. You gotta do something." If the alchemic labs is not in play, which is not, put it into play. So let's get the alchemic labs. So it's in play right here. Let's grab a new token, and basically this goes there and that goes there. So, bam. If you're at Agenda 1 or 2, we're in Agenda 1 right now, spawn the set-aside experiment into the alchemy labs. So I got this big boy, who's our first massive creature. He has 4 attacks, 7 health, with an extra 3 health per investigator, and 2 invade. And this thing is slowly going to crawl itself up to the dormitories, according to the kid. If you completed the House Always Wins, put the set-aside chemical compulsion to play underneath the chemical labs. No, we did not. We played this scenario first, and the other one, the House Always Wins, is the second other scenario. But we decided to do this one. If Extracurricular is the first scenario, which it is, of the campaign, remove the set-aside chemical compulsion from the game. So we don't even get to have that, which basically helps you kill this thing if you need to. Campus safety. You have only moments to react. You can only warn the students in the dormitories and escort them to safety, or continue your task searching for the facility officers for Professor Rice. Or perhaps you could try to slay the beast that threatens the campus. Find and complete the objective on another encounter card. So basically, I can either try to go to the dormitories, warn the kids, because he's coming for, or I just kill it. Whereas if it's defeated, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to defeat it. Like, I have a machete, I'll need to attack him 5 times to kill him. I have Vicious Blow too, so I can try to use that to kill him. I don't think I've ever killed the experiments. I've always gone to the dormitories. But he has a victory at 2, and that could actually be helpful. So you know what? Since we're doing so well, let's actually try to kill the experiments. So, but first things first, I want to take 3 of my things to take out Alice and put Guard Dog in, because I think I'm going to need him more. Alice will only help me if I get clues. Alright, so upkeep phase first, Derek. Upkeep phase. Shortcut, good. This breaks. University is dead silent. The shadow coils about your feet as you walk. You swear there's something following you with each step you take. Or is it just your imagination? Or is there really someone or something stalking you? Each investigator with 5 or more cards in his hand their discard pile takes 1 horror. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I take 1 horror. 1 horror. It would have been 2 extra horrors if I let's put you in mulligan. Doesn't direct means direct. Takes 2 horror. If the player has completed the House Always Wins, advance directly to 2B. If Extracurricular Activity is the first scenario of the campaign, advance to 2A, which we do. Professor Wright's disappearance isn't the only thing missing in the university. You're unsure what's exactly going on, but you're starting to believe Armitage was right in asking for help. Each investigator's maximum hand size reduced by 3 while checking his or her hand size during the upkeep phase. I only have 3 cards, so it doesn't really matter. Alright. You push to the beyond. Choose and shuffle a non-story asset you control into your deck and discard the top 3 cards. If a copy of that asset is to start it, take 2. Choose and shuffle a non-story asset. Shit. Well, it's gonna have to be the Hawkeye floating camera because I need Guard Dog and Machete to attack the to attack this thing. And that was one. That's -1 sanity. 1, 2, 3. None of them were the assets I got discarded, so we're good. My turn. I'm surprised I haven't seen any monsters, but I feel like soon enough there's going to be a monster. Which means I feel like I need to go to the dormitory. So am I really going to push myself to do this? I think so. So let's shortcut over here, then head into the science building. That's one action. Science building. Science dominates the eastern side of the campus. If the windows are dark, save for a lone window shining faintly in the corner of the basement. A trail of vicious ooze snakes through the halls of the science building's first floor, leading down to the basement. After the science building, the light the alchemy where it already is. If you fail a mind test, then the science building take 1 damage. So I can move myself over here and hit him for one time. But he's definitely going to hit me back, no matter what. And I'm going to at least take 1 hit. How many? We need to hit him 5 times with a machete. I have vicious blow though. That'll give me an extra attack, extra damage. Okay. I feel weird doing this, but let's just go in and start attacking them. Into the alchemist lab. The door leading to the alchemy lab is locked. You cannot move into the alchemy labs. But because of Jazz, while Jazz Mulligan is not controlled, while you control Jazz, you ignore this text, so I can go in there. A pungent stench rises from the laboratory downstairs. The silence of the hall is broken by the unmistakable hiss of a burner. Particular concoction, obscure regions line the shelves of the laboratory. What manner of science is going down here? Investigate. If you're successful, instead of discovering clues, take the chemical concoction. Well, there is none, so. And it's 5 shroud and there's no clues on here. So, I have 1 left. So I'm going to attack him and I'm going to use my vicious blow to hit him. So I got a +1 first attack plus vicious blow +1, so I am up by 2. And I got -1, so I beat him. The steady will do 1 damage, so 1, 2, 3. I do 3 damage to him already. His turn. He's going to hit me for 2 damage. I'm going to put 1 on Jazz, 1 on Guard Dog. Guard Dog is going to react to that, and boom, hits the experiment for 1 more damage. Love you, Guard Dog. I'm going to be hitting for 2 sanity, 1 for me, and 1 on Jazz, which means Jazz is dead. What happens when he dies? While adjustments not controlled by investigator, he gains parlay. Alright, well, I think it just goes to my discard pile. I'm pretty sure. I think in the part 2, he would if you discard for any reason, resolve his revelation effect. But that's only on Act 1. That's only on that act, not this act. So normally, if you lose sight of him like that, he would go here. But that was only on Act 2 because of Act 3. That force isn't there, so that's interesting. I cannot go to the dormitories now. I can't warn the kids. Alright, so upkeep phase. Bam. Vicious blow. That's going to be very helpful. Guard Dog comes back. Alright. 1 Dead at Night. And please no monster. Offer of power. Place 2 Doom on the chrono, which can take effect or get hit by 2 horror. So I draw 2 cards and place 2 doom, or take 2 horror. See, if I draw cards, my weakness might come out, which will give me a horror. Or I can just take 2 horror, and this continues. So let's draw 2 cards. Let's take that power. Something worth fighting for and on the hunt. And this goes in, but because that card says this can cause the current agenda to continue, this continues. A cry of fear echoes through the campus, and several students flee from the eastern side of the university, where the science building can be found. Could this commotion be linked to Professor Rice's disappearance? Doesn't matter, because I already know what's going on. It's an experiment going. If the dormitory's location is not in play, put it in play. If the experiment is in play, move it 1 location towards dormitories. Alright, so he actually moves that way. If the experiment is not in play, do that. Alright. The beast unleashed. Some kind of wild creatures on the loose. Whatever it is appears to be headed toward the university dormitories. When this agenda would advance by reaching its doom threshold, instead remove all doom in play and move the experiment 1 location towards the dormitories. If the experiment enters the dormitories, advance. So basically when he gets here, the agenda will advance. Otherwise, all doom is going to slowly move him closer and closer. Alright. I was hoping to use my 3 turns to do that, but I can't. So move 1 action to move. And because of the experiment is massive, he does not go in my threat area. In fact, any investigator within the massive area is basically he's engaged with everyone. So we are going to attack him again for a vicious blow. So we're up by 2. I get a +1. So that's 3 more damage on him. It's 3 damage. So he's at 7. Yeah, I beat him. I think I'm pretty sure I beat him. Then I do my last one to attack him again, but I'm going to use my Blessed Blade and on the hunt fighting pips to be up by 3. And the only reason why, because the cultist symbol, it's possible to be up by 3 too. -2, so I beat him on that, but I only do 2 damage. So he's at 9 health. Yeah, he's basically dead. So enemy phase, he attacks me. He puts 1 on me, 1 in guard dog, 2 more. Guard dog's completely dead, but his reaction is still able to go because when he is assigned damage, when enemy attacks, deals damage to guard dog, deal 1 damage as a reaction. So bam, guard dog still activates, hits that 1 damage, kills the experiment. I love guard dog so much. He really is a champ. He dies, but he kills the enemy, and he killed the experiment. The experiment is dead, and I gain 2 victory points just for killing it. So, if the experiment is defeated, advance to Act 3B. The monstrous creature lets out a terrible shriek as it succumbs to its wounds and collapses onto the ground. A foul odor emits from the corpse as the flesh begins to bubble and froth. Your relief turns to disgust as the body begins to shrink and disintegrate. Minutes later, the body is almost entirely evaporated into a sticky mass, and the awful odor has vanished. Inside the remnants of the creature's body, all you can see is a set of bones. A skeletal creature of a canine. Resolution 3. Alright. So that experiment was like some sort of dog that was experimented on. Perfect for guard dog to kill another dog. A dog monster, I should say. Resolution 3. After defeating the strange and terrifying creature from the Department of Alchemy, you rush into the set of faculty offices to find Professor Rice. By the time you get to his office, there's no sign of him anywhere. In your campaign log, record that Professor Warren Rice was kidnapped. So, Yes, I failed into rescuing Professor Rice because I killed the experiment. In your campaign log, record that the experiment was defeated. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X of each card on the display file. So that would be the experiment, which is 2 and 1. So we just get 3 experience for this. If this is the first scenario of the campaign, advance to the house always wins. Otherwise, advance to interlude 1, Armitage's Fate. So since we didn't do house always wins, we do that one for the next campaign. All right, and that's that. See you next time.